Hello friends, this is a computer network class. In previous class we have learned sliding window ARQ protocol. The problem in sliding window ARQ protocol is that the receiver ends weren't able to detect duplicate frames. So the solution is that problem is go back and ARQ protocol and the selective repeat ARQ. These are the two parts of the sliding window protocols or overcome the problem of sliding window ARQ protocols. So let's start. Go back and ARQ. Here the transmitter of the window size. Here the transmitter window size is n. As previously we know that the size of sliding window ARQ is n for transmitter side, and the receiving window size. Here the receiver's window size is 1. But in sliding window protocols, the size of receiver is n. But here in go back, the receiver's window size is 1. Total number of sequence required to represent the sequence n plus 1, transmitter transmitting window size plus receiver receiving window size. Okay. To represent the symbol, how? Here a formula for frame number mod of n plus 1 to create the sequence number. Okay. Here the case 1. Here the case 1. In case 1, here let's suppose there is a frame size of n. So it's be called go back for ARQ. Here the go back n, here replaced with the number of frame size. Go back for ARQ. Go back for ARQ. Here the frame sequence F0 to F3 and 0 to 3 there is a sequence number. Here when transmitter transmit 4 continuous frames one by one, here the receiver window size is only 1. So at a time only one frame received by the receiver and processed by the receiver. Here when receiver received F0, it process it and send acknowledgement. Then F1 process it, send acknowledgement. F2 process it and send acknowledgement. Same thing happens. Then after getting all acknowledgement, here after getting the acknowledgement of A0, the receiver will send next frame. The next frame is F3 and the next frame is F4. After getting the acknowledgement of A0, the transmitter will send next frame, which one is sequence number, which sequence number is 4 and frame number is 4. So after sending F4, then transmitter receive A1's acknowledgement, then it will send next frame, which was one. Next frame is frame 5, which sequence number is start from 0. Now after 4th sequence number, it start again from 0 sequence number. So after sending all these frames, get the acknowledgement. Okay, here all things happens good. Now in case 2, here the sequence number 4 and here the all 4 frames. Okay, here the frame 0, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3 continuous send these 4 frames. But what happens if the frame 0 get lost? The frame 0 lost, then the receiver won't receive F0. So after some time, receiver received F1. After next, receiver received F1. But the receiver won't accept F1 because receiver knows that first it received F0, then F1, then F2, then F3. Here the sequence of frames received but the receiver won't receive F0. So the receiver won't receive F1, F2 and F3. We discard it. After some time, after time over, transmitter won't get any acknowledgement. So the receiver again send F1, F2, F3, F4, 4 frames to the receiver. Now F0 is received by receiver and send acknowledgement. F1, F2, F3. These are the sequence number of frames received by the receiver end and send the acknowledgement to the transmitter. Here the thing happens, if the transmitter won't receive any acknowledgement, then it load the 4 frames, have the size of window size. It received the frames, the acknowledgement that F1 not is. If it not receive any acknowledgement, then it load all frames and send these frames in continuous manner. It transmit the frame. Now in case 3, what happens? If the transmitter transmit 4 frames and receiver received all frames one by one, F first 2, because the size of receiver window size is 1. So at a time only 1 frame is received by or processed by receiver end. So first F0, then F1, then F2, then F3 received by the receiver. If the acknowledgement get lost in between, the receiver get lost, receiver's acknowledgement get lost. So, and the receiver received the last acknowledgement. Means that if starting series acknowledgement lost and receiver and transmitter received last acknowledgement, then here the transmitter conclude that if here the transmitter received A3 acknowledgement of 4th packet. Now here the receiver conclude that, transmitter conclude that if the receiver send us the acknowledgement of A3, then it must be received all 3 static packets. Means that receivers received all previous packets. Here things happens. If receiver received packet 3, it happens only after 2. The receiver received packet 2 only after received packet 4 1, and packet receiver received packet 1 only after packet F0. So that if the transmitter get the acknowledgement of frame 3, then it was sure that receiver have received all previous frames. So here A3 acknowledgement work as a combined acknowledgement. Means this acknowledgement get the information that all previous frames have been accepted by the receiver. Now the next sequence of the frame sequence have to be sent. So here after 3, here the frame sequence 4, 5, 6, 7 have to be sent to the receiver. Now the case 4, here the all 4 frames have to be transmitted to the receiver end, and receiver received all those 4 frames, and send acknowledgement. If all acknowledgement lost, if all frames acknowledgement lost, then after some time or time over, the transmitter send again all previous frames to the transmitter. After getting all 4 frames by the transmitter, first receiver get F0 because the window size is 1. At a time he processes only one first process F0 and discard it, because here the receiver's last entry is F3. Receiver received F3 last frame. Now he want to be F4. But here what sequence of F frame come? F0. Here F0 frames comes, but the receiver ends need to be F4, next frame F4. So it discarded. Then again F1 comes, then discard it, discard, all frames will be discarded by receiver end. After getting the acknowledgement, here the receiver transmitter received the acknowledgement of A3. Here after discarding the F0 frame by the receiver sent acknowledgement, I want A3 frames. Here he sent the acknowledgement of last accepted frame. Here the last accepted frame is F3. So here it sent again the acknowledgement of A3. The last frame is A3. After getting the acknowledgement of A3, transmitter side conclude that up to frame 3, all frames are received. Now he want up to A3 the transmitter received acknowledgement of A3, means it's an acknowledgement of third sequence frame, and he want the fourth frame, so that here the transmitter send the next frame from the sequence number 4, frame 4 to 4, 5, 6, 7 as per the window size. So here the transmitter send next frame. Here also A3 get the combined acknowledgement, means that here if the A3, here the transmitter get the acknowledgement of A3 that the receivers need after the A3 or frame 3. So here the transmitter won't wait to get another acknowledgement like frame 1, 2, 3. Won't wait the frame 1 to 3 acknowledgement, because of A3 acknowledgement, transmitter conclude that all of before or up to A3 all frames already received. Now the receiver needs to be next frames. Here the conclusion. Here in first the transmitter transmit n frames without any acknowledgement. In first, in continuous manner, transmitter transmit n number of frames as per the window. Here the window size. Now here the receiver transmit individual acknowledgement on repeat on every successful received frame. If the successfully frame received by receiver successfully, then it send individual acknowledgement. Here the cumulative or combined acknowledgement exist, means that if previous frames are successfully received or not, it get acknowledged by one single frame. It could be identified by the one single frame, won't need to be a acknowledgement of other frames. Here, whenever transmitter get the timeout, then it transmit all frames which are residing in transmitting windows. And the fourth one is here. Now fourth one is that the receiver discard all frames which is out of order, means that out of order or duplicate. If the receiver received duplicate frames, then it discard it and send acknowledgement of accepting, means last recent frame received by the receiver. Okay, thank you. Here the PDF is available on Telegram channel. Link is in description. So download it.